Hello and welcome to Wellness by Design. Today, I'm your host, Jane Hogan, the wellness engineer, and I have a dear friend. I just love her, Dr. Madhia Saeed. Welcome, Madhia.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so incredibly honored to be here.
Oh, you're so fun and you've got so much knowledge, and I can't wait for the audience to learn more about you. So I'll just tell them a little bit that you're a medical doctor, you're a family physician, you're a mother of five boys, ages 1 to 16, almost 1 to 16. And you have written 7 books. You're now working on your eighth book, and your kids have their own podcast with a huge following, and they just got a book deal. Like, how exciting is that? So there's so many great things to talk about, and I know we're going to be sharing about chronic pain, inflammation, and how you manage that, and how you can manage feeding a family, because I know you've got a multi-generational family, and I've eaten your cooking, and it's pretty amazing. And so how do you do all that on a budget? So let's get started. First of all, how did you what drew you to all of this and really caring about food so much? Because most medical doctors, you don't get a lot of training in food. So how did you come about doing this with Madia?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is an absolute honor. And my journey started off as most adults down the road to chronic disease.
Mm.
As a young kid, I was taking cans of soda to school every day. I was eating Pop Tarts and strudels for breakfast and cereals. I remember that my mom had an entire basement closet that was packed with every cereal, because she loved to coupon, shop, and so that was the cheapest stuff that you can get on that, so she's like, "Oh, I got this for, like, a cent each," and so the entire basement was closet was filled with every cereal, and every day we would go downstairs and get a new color, a new cereal, a new flavor, and eat the entire box and start all over the next day. And but at that time, I started dealing with digestive issues, acne, eczema, severe, alopecia. But the thing is, the doctors just sort of call that my new normal, right?
Normal.
And I lived with that, with those chronic health conditions. Through medical school, and then in residency, when I became a new mom, a new wife, a new resident, all at the same time. That's when my problems really came to a head. And I started developing severe pain, like specifically joint pain. Um, my digestive issues worsened to the point where I couldn't even go to the bathroom until I some put a steroid suppository in, and I was in pain, like my fingers were painful, down there was painful, everything was just hurting. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, then later I was diagnosed with lupus, and, and the list goes on, and to the point I even had shingles in residency.
Oh my.
So here I was literally a young person in an old person body, and, with free food at the cafeteria for residents, and, obviously, we're both me and my husband were both working 80-hour work weeks. And then, the chronic stress, the lack of sleep, the negativity in the environment, all of that, the hand sanitizers that we were using all day long, all night long to see patients, and all the chemicals that we were surrounded with deteriorated. My health just continued to deteriorate. Not until when my husband had this gut inclination, he said, "Can you go check up on our 10-month-old in daycare? Because I have this feeling that something's wrong." And I was going to brush it off, but then I walked into every mother's worst nightmare. The lights were dim. The daycare provider was rocking back and forth in her chair. And the silence was broken by my child's in the back. And when I went back there, I saw that my child's I like, he was basically being suffocated to death. His arms and legs were tied down with the receiving blanket. His pacifier was in his mouth. His Winnie the Pooh blanket was tied so rapidly around his face and his eyes. His eyes were bloodshot. His face was swollen. And I immediately picked lifted his head to rescue him, and then I ran out screaming, "You could have killed my child." And at that moment, God, the universe saved my child, and I made this solemn promise that I promise I'm gonna take care of these kids the best that I know how. But then I had to think about it for a second because wait, how am I supposed to take care of these kids the best that I know how if I myself, as a family physician, I don't even know how to take care of myself?
Ironic.
So, right? I had no idea how to prevent my issues. Even though I was miserable, I was taking all these indigestion medications, I was on thyroid medications, um, and I just felt miserable and I didn't even know how to help myself. So that's when I went on this journey of integrative, holistic, functional medicine. Right out of residency, I joined this medical practice where under one roof there was me, an OBGYN, an internist, an exercise physiologist, nutritionist, counseling, chiropractor, massage therapy, all brought together for the complete healing of the whole person.
Love it.
And that's when I'm like, "What? You can actually treat the whole person?" Because we're used to we were literally slapped, like our wrists were slapped if we spent too much time with a patient. And for example, my husband's a traditional family physician. He has to see 110 patients a week for our paycheck not to go half. 110 patients a week. So, it was craziness. So therefore, we need to in that much time, there's no way that you can actually truly take care of a patient, and find out everything. So this was something that was a huge eye opener. And when I started practicing it on my patients, one of my first patients was a 9-year-old. I mean, she was actually a 32-year-old with 9 different chronic health conditions: myasthenia gravis, psoriasis, lichen planus, Sjogren's, Hashimoto's. And what was amazing was she was on the highest dose of, you know, Mestinon, and they wanted to put her on Imuron. And in 1 month, all her chronic conditions disappear. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, why haven't we taught this? And I felt like I discovered something. And I was like, oh my gosh, why aren't we talking about this? Remember, I'm like newly out of residency. So I wanted to like scream this at top of all the mountains. Like, there is another way. We don't have to be suffering. Because when I started then applying it to myself, all of my chronic health conditions disappeared. And I no longer suffer from any of those chronic conditions. Now I've been practicing this type of medicine for the last 15 years. And yes, that first feeling of like, oh my God, everybody needs to know about this. That's where it translated into the books and um, my offspring.
Oh my gosh, what a journey. And so so ironic that here you are a physician, you're sick, you don't even know how to fix yourself, based on what you've learned in school. So went down another route. I mean, and then I get that, like I got my book I'm working on there because I just want to shout from the rooftops as well. There's another way. There's another way. And
There is another way.
it's I think I'm hoping that the word is getting out more now. People are understanding, but there's a lot of people that still don't really know there's another way. Oh, they just we've got this paradigm that, you know, you just have to give all your power over to someone else. There's nothing you can do. You just gotta wait, take the medications, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, what we're doing right now isn't working,
We
right?
know it's not working.
We know it's not working. We have an epidemic of chronic disease. Our future, our health, our future of humanity, the future of the planet is all at stake. And so we're
Oh
all
my
suffering
God.
silently. Yes. And
Yeah.
then if we just look at the autism rates that are just climbing, the rates of chronic health conditions, the depression, anxiety, suicide, our economy is suffering. The planet, the United Nations says we have 60 harvests left. I mean, when someone looks at those statistics, um, if you're like me, you're like stunned and feeling hopeless. And in some cases, it's easier to stick your head in the ground and pretend everything is okay when clearly we're getting sicker and sicker as a humanity and as a planet. And so this is not genetic. It's actually and it's not just better diagnosis. Something is actually happening to us and our children epigenetically. as we are getting sicker and sicker day by day. And this is where conventional medicine is great. I mean, my brother is an interventional cardiologist, my sister's a pediatric ICU physician. And but so when it comes to like healing and preventing chronic condition, we need to dig a little deeper. And
Mhm.
that's where we need to look past these drug treatments, as they alone will not really keep us healthy or happy. And there's so much hope. And we just need to start understanding that, there is hope. And for that, how are we going to find that hope? We need to start asking the question, why? And then once we start asking the question, why are we suffering? Why is our planet suffering? Why are we out of balance? And why are we all inflamed? And why is these chronic diseases on a rise? There lies the hope. And once we start taking care of our lives, the environment that we live in, and we put our bodies back into balance, then what happens is that we can improve morbidity and mortality from all these chronic conditions. We can fix our food system, we can improve our economy, and even save the planet just by putting ourselves back into the balance. Because again, and understand. So I went when I wanted to figure out what was going on with myself, with these patients, the children. I actually had to also ask the question why. And I found that when our bodies are out of balance, this leads to a body's response of heightened inflammation. And healing the chronic inflammation was the first step of really trying to, optimize a health and wellness. And, when you go to your doctor for a headache, let's say, we know they give you an anti inflammatory. Or if you go for eczema, they give you an anti-inflammatory. If you go for, pain, an anti-inflammatory, right? If you have allergies, an anti-inflammatory. If you have an autoimmune disease like I did, an anti-inflammatory. Cancer, an anti-inflammatory. So does that all sound familiar? So it's all inflammation. So no matter what chronic condition you're dealing with, depression, mood disorders, thyroid issues, autoimmune, digestive issues, skin disorders, cancer, autism, chronic pain. Um, it's all where what do they all have in common? Is your body out of balance that leads to your body's response in chronic inflammation, the mechanism that's behind most of these chronic health conditions. And even before the disease becomes noticeable, inflammation starts to brew in the body. And so when you actually start to feel the symptoms, damage has actually already occurred. So this is why, unfortunately, us as a physician, we knew that one of the underlying mechanisms is inflammation. But as a physician, we were never taught to address, and why this person was sick to begin with, and how we can actually, start to put this person back into balance. And for me, as a new mom, and then as with a growing family, and I didn't even know how to even put these pieces into my own life. And that is when I really started, what? I did the research, I did the science, and now how can I actually help implementing it? Because I found that there's so many people that are really great with the science, right? But when it comes to the implementation, that's when I'm like, yeah, great, I have all the information, but how am I actually going to, you know, translate this into real life? Not
Mm.
even just for me, but for my entire family. And that too on a budget, because we were just right out of residency. We're still growing. We're still trying to figure this all out. But I grew up with a mother that was home, and then my dad was an accountant. So who literally came to this country with, I know they it's like with just a couple dollars on their back, right?
Yeah.
And so we really needed to, you know, find ways that we can, to eat on a budget. My mom went to couponing. So that's where for me, I knew how difficult that was for everybody else and living in that situation. So I really wanted to make this doable and affordable for everybody. And that's where now I feel like I have mastered that.
Well, I love to hear that because I hear so often from people, like, I guess the people that I'm speaking to, they know that they've got to, eat better. They know there's lifestyle changes to make, but lots of times they say it's expensive to eat healthy. And I live in Newfoundland. Like, we don't, everything has to be brought in pretty much. There's some stuff grown here, and we have harsh winters. So it seems like it is expensive. So how do you teach people a budget friendly way to live healthy in a way of
Absolutely. And
lowering.
it really starts off with teaching them what chronic inflammation is, right? So, inflammation actually means this fire inside. It's your body's natural defense responses to your body's immune system trying to keep the bad guys out, the good guys in, to heal wounds. And so, without inflammation, we're in trouble, right? And there's two different types. There's a good that's just, and you want right amount, you want the right amount and not too much. It's like a Goldilocks, right? You don't want too much. You just want just the right amount. And, but there's 2 different types. There's acute and chronic. So with healthy inflammation, that lasts for a short time. It's a sign that your body's working properly. And then, and everything, your body gets put back into balance pretty simple. But then unfortunately with constant modern life's daily exposures to triggers like chronic stress and toxins and artificial fake food and allergens and low grade infections, this can all start to drive disease, destroying this miracle of a body that we were born with. And for a short time, everything's okay, right? For a short time, your body's able to tolerate that.
Yep.
But for a long time, as it continues, as your body's constantly exposed to these triggers, um, the inflammatory molecules called the cytokines, they go out of control. They destroy everything in its path, damaging tissues and organs. So, and chronic inflammation affects our brain, as studies have shown that the inflammation was found to decrease the strength between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. And that is important because that we know now that chronic inflammation can actually also affect our decision making.
Yes.
And so there's two main pieces of decision making. There's this prefrontal cortex and there's the amygdala. The amygdala is for fight and flight, while the prefrontal cortex looks at like everything and makes a rational decision, like pros and cons, and then it comes up with a good decision. But you need both of them to be working appropriately. But unfortunately, when we're chronically inflamed, it decreases the strength between the convection. And therefore we are starting to um, use our amygdala to make these decisions. They're fight and flight type of decision making. And what's crazy is that our body, when we're our body is not ours when that happens. It is, when we have limbic system driven decisions, when we're more, it's fight and flight type of decision making. And we're unable to control our anger or our emotions. It's us versus you mentality. So there's a lot of that. So to know that, chronic inflammation leads us to act impulsively, lacks empathy, poor decision making, and how we have less control over all of these things. So if we really want to be in control, and we know chronic inflammation also affects the mitochondria, which is the energy cell of the bodies. There's like thousands and like a cell, right? But what's really cool is by teaching somebody that when your body is out of balance, that is then affecting our minds and our bodies and decisions that we choose on a daily basis.
Mhm.
So, we need to but in order to really lower chronic inflammation, optimize our mitochondria, optimize our brain and body function, right? And the decisions that we're making on a daily basis, we need to make sure that, guess what? To put our bodies back into balance. And how is that? I call it like the foundations of good health. It's your digestive health and detoxification, and the four S's: stress, sleep, social, and spiritual health. Because when we can truly do that, that can make a big difference. And these are just simple things. This is like the foundation of where we can really start to heal. And yes, because of the fact, and then but the thing is incorporating this and creating like a routine.
Mhm.
Right? So, so for example, we know that 70 to 80% of our immune system lies in the gut. We have 100 trillion bacteria that line our gut lining. And we need all of these good bugs um, to um, to help us, our brain, our body. Um, it also it turns it on and off our genes. So the foods that so in my house, the foods that we eat on a daily basis, we wanna make sure that it fits 3 criteria, right? The food that you should eat should lower chronic inflammation and be the most nutrient dense foods for you. It should balance your blood sugar level and balance your insulin level and is the most nutrient dense foods. And then also keep your gut healthy. So these three. And so working on your digestive health and nutrition is really important. But this is where I feel like a lot of people are like, it's exhausting, it's overwhelming. Where do I start? And so starting with like tons of vegetables, clean protein, healthy fats, no matter what kind of, demographic you're in, if you're vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, paleo, keto, they all have the same, some sort of vegetables, some sort of clean protein and healthy fats. So
Right.
let's focus on what we're all the same. And so when we start doing it that way, it makes that decision making a little bit easier. So that's what even for my kids. What is my vegetable? What is my clean protein? What is my healthy fat? Right. And then making sure that we're hydrated and then having those swaps. In my house, I feel like it's attainable. Like, so the kids can eat, there's no argument over food, right? Um, Because the kids, it's not like I don't tell them stop eating the sugar because otherwise there's so much negative energy associated with all this food. Like mom's telling us eating healthy is, you know, bad. Like that's what we do at home. And then we're out and about, we eat bad. So then why would we want to have like healthy home food all the time? So what's really cool is that here we bring all the delicious treats that kids really love, but we just find an organic non-GMO. So we are 100% non-GMO, um, and then as organic as we possibly can get it. And, but what's really amazing is that the kids don't feel like they're deprived of anything because we live in a country and where we can find these alternatives. If they want chips, great, there's cassava flour chips. If they want brownies and pancakes, we can make them out of cassava flour, coconut flour. We can make that out of almond flour. So the kids are still having all their delicious treats. If they want pasta, we use lentil pasta. If they want burritos, we use cassava flour burrito wraps. So the kids are still getting all of those delicious treats that they're used to, and actually, even when I travel, I will take this with me.
I
And we
know
will
you.
try like organic, non-GMO foods. Um, so therefore, like in our house, healthy food is still fun food.
Yeah. And
And
that
that's leave the decision making up to them. So my pantry is stocked for success. My fridge is stocked. I have a drawer full of fruits and drawer full of vegetables. So the kids know vegetables, clean protein, and then I have the protein there. So the kids make their own lunches. They do all that by just keeping it simple.
I've gotta ask you, as we're recording this, it's a week before Halloween. So by the time it comes out, Halloween will be past. But how do you handle that with your kids?
So by educating them,
Okay.
right? And that's how just like we started off this by teaching them that, like let's take a look at a wrapper, right? Okay, like, let's look at these Skittles. What is red number 40? What is blue number whatever, 5 or yellow number 5 and blue number whatever? Like, they're coming up with new numbers and names all the time, but what's crazy is that the kids don't know. They're like, "I don't know." So then they'll go and research it. We're very blessed that we don't have to go to a library to figure this stuff out. This is on our fingertips. The kids can just look this up right away and see, okay, so what are all these experts saying about it? On top of that, what does the research say? Do the research yourself. And they're like, "Oh, mama, this causes like from petroleum, it causes hyperactivity, everything from hyperactivity to even cancer." So, I'm like, "Yeah, so but then guess what? Here's another package that's Skittles that looks like Skittles, but it's not. But it's made with organic ingredients. Now, which one? Now, like you've had that before, but what tastes this? Would you prefer to put this one in your body or that in your body?" So, for us, um, the kids have gotten to a point where they do all the reading themselves. They read all the ingredients. Even if I bring something home, they're still reading the ingredients, right? So that's just like, so they're really cautious about what they put in their body. And then on top of that, if they find those replacements, as long as we provide them replacements for all these things, they're not. they're not intimidated by this other stuff.
And it
Like,
sounds
I like organic Snicker type things, or Butterfingers or whatever the kids really absolutely love, we can find a replacement for. And, but again, now it's to the point where they don't even wanna go trick or treating because they're like, "Why would I put all that energy into getting chemicals?"
yeah. You're giving them so much autonomy, right? To make their own.
Yeah, so whatever you want to do, exactly. So what do you guys want? Let's now look for it. So it's so fun when we go out even to restaurants or when we go to the store. I'm sometimes I just have them, okay, you know what? Find the healthiest things. You guys do the grocery shopping. You guys find the best things for you that you want. And then we'll read through the ingredients and see. And then if it's like has some shady ingredients, let's go find a better. So for me, it's like oh, let's go see if we can find it, right?
Treasure
Uh,
hunt.
yes, like it's a treasure hunt, and it does, and it becomes so much fun. Even if when we anytime the kids we go out to even to uh, to vacation, let's see if we can. What is they're researching restaurants like non-GMO organic restaurants that we're all gonna try and different things. So it is very easy and very doable.
And how do you do this on a budget, or how do you advise your patients to eat healthy and do it on a budget, and how can they save money?
Because the fact that when you eat processed junk food, studies have shown that you actually consume 500 more calories.
Mm.
On top of that, when you eat, like for example, whenever you go to a restaurant, the first thing that they bring out to you is this delicious fluffy bread or these like corn chips, right? It's all processed stuff, flours that actually goes and inhibits your leptin. The leptin is a hormone for satiation. And so guess what? You're actually eating more. So, yes, you're spending less money on the food quality, but then you're spending more money on the food quantity. But in this way, when you eat real food, you spend less money on, I mean, you spend more money on food quality, but then less money on food quantity.
Mm.
And so I'm not in the kitchen all day long, even though it may seem like it. There's my social media, but I'm not because the fact that the kids are satiated. Like this morning, what did they have? They had like an apple, nuts, some vegetable sticks, and then a kebab. And then like that's literally all they put in their lunch and they're satiated. They didn't need like chips and sandwiches and this and that and this and that. They were just satiated with like simple whole ingredients. And then I noticed that the same thing in the morning time too. So they don't eat as often once they fill your belly up with real foods.
Mm.
And then the thing is, it also helps with, hospital bills and doctor's visits. Knock on wood, the kids haven't had a cold or I don't remember the last time they've had like a cold or they've had um or even a fever.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing. So when you take all that into consideration, it does end up being equal. And then remember the food is just one piece of that puzzle.
Yeah.
Then we have is your detoxification. So we talked about digestive health. And then we have a detoxification. So for detoxification, we want again, make those easy swaps. Just like what we did with the food. You change the toxic stuff for the cleaner stuff. Same thing with the detoxification. There's simple, cost-effective ways that you can um, incorporate into your everyday daily routine, like dry brushing doesn't cost much. Taking a going like every day. We haven't saved up for like an actual sauna in the house yet, but the thing is, I have a YMCA membership that I go and use the sauna right every day. I've been doing that in the morning time. I drop off the kids. I go to get my workout out and my sauna in every morning, and I'm done before like 10 a.m. Right, drop the kids off at 9, and I'm done. Um, get my workout, whether it's the sauna, there's dry brushing, even standing under the shower. If you quickly put hot and cold showers, can help you detoxify, getting a massage. These are simple things that don't cost that much that you can incorporate on a daily basis. And when you're thinking about like, oh my God, no, my products are going to cost a lot. My soap, like, when I remember when I used the other Dove or Ivory or all these other crazy soaps, um, that it would last like a month, but now the Simple Bar lasts a lot longer.
I'm
Along with even the detergents. So the detergent, we get like organic Whole Foods detergent or whatever, you can get an organic detergent or you can make your own, right? With baking soda and vinegar and lots of different options there. And then there's even like soap nuts, so like there's so many different cost effective options to detoxify. And making sure you're pooping and peeing and perspiring on a daily basis, and then making sure you're eating tons of vegetables, clean protein, healthy fats to give your body the nutrients that it needs to help you detoxify. Then it's stress, sleep, social, and spiritual health. And this is where I start every one of my patients off with is spiritual health, the power of gratitude.
oh,
Because our perspective can either be our pain or our power. And so we need to change it to become our power. And the best way to do that is immediately when you wake up in the morning, say 10 things that you're thankful for on a daily basis. And I've had people where no matter what they've done, like if their diet is super clean, this is the, but if they're pessimistic and working out like this will never get better, I feel miserable, like life is always greener on the other side, they will never heal.
mm.
Because that in of itself will lead to a lot of chronic inflammation. So if we can have just start with 10 days, 10 things that you're thankful for every day. Then the next thing is so we have that. The next thing we wanna also do is making sure you're sleeping properly, right? Because we know the importance of sleep, right? And then the make because, during while we're sleeping, we're not doing much energy for anything else, and that gives more energy to remove toxins, hormone manufacturing, infection fighting, right? And then we have is social health, keep people around you that are gonna lift you up because our social environment, limiting these tech devices is all important to feeling our overall health and wellness. And it floods our body with all of these like potent hormones into our bloodstreams that makes us feel emotionally better. And then added benefit of strengthening our immune system significantly, receiving love can really help your body heal. So that should, I mean, if you have to pay for your friends, I tell my kids, if you have to pay for your friends, then you got to get different friends. But then we have stress management. And then in that, uh, you know, more than like 80% of the complaints that come to primary care physicians are due to stress. So if we can incorporate some sort of mind body practice into their everyday daily routine, that's really going to help because for us in our house, obviously change our mindset, mindfulness, meditation, spending time in nature, exercise, prayer, chanting, all of these laughter, all of these things are really great to help you lower your stress. And, again, it doesn't have to be figure out what works best for you. I love my nature. I try to get out into nature at least once a week. Try to get the kids out to a park where we'll just go try to discover different types of parks, then take them out for a smoothie afterwards or whatever it is, or come home and make a smoothie, or whatever fruit, whatever they want. And then so that becomes like a fun little outing along with, you know, um, stack these habits, right? So, for example, like in the morning time, I will drop the kids off from school. I will go to the gym. I will sit in the sauna. I will meditate in the sauna because the phone doesn't really work in there. So I'll meditate in the sauna, and then I'll work out. So these are like just habit stacking,
Mm.
and um, and, immediately when you wake up in the morning, say 10 things that you're thankful for. Find a time that you're going to incorporate nature and meditation and yoga and all of these things that into your everyday daily routine. So just like we've been taught to brush our teeth as soon as we wake up in the morning and before we go to bed, or um, just like we've been taught to do that, and that's part of our routine. We got to make all of these things part of our routine, these all these different strategies for optimal healing, and I have found that that is probably one of the most powerful things that you could do.
People don't realize how these simple things, most of them are free that you're talking about, right? can make a huge difference. I mean, I know even just starting with just drinking enough water, like so many people are dehydrated that just that alone.
Drinking
A
water.
gratitude
Absolutely.
practice, getting out in nature. I mean, these things aren't hard to do. They're easy to, well, changing your habits
Are
is
hard.
is hard. It's not easy for people to change habits. So, you mentioned like habit stacking and how, what suggestions do you have for people for starting to change habits and getting this into a more healthy lifestyle?
Well, you want to start off with what thing you can. I found the easiest thing you can start off was gratitude.
This is
Immediately when you wake up in the morning, say 10 things that you're thankful for. Anybody can do that. Set a reminder on your phone. Put little sticky notes on your mirror, whatever you see first to help you remember to be grateful. Because if we start there, the rest of it comes super easy.
It does and gets easier. As you mentioned, when you start lowering stress, then you're making better decisions. So
Absolutely. And
I
it's like you're getting up on the right side of the bed every day.
yeah. I say to myself, when I get stressed, I know I can't think straight. I can't find what I'm looking for in my phone. Like whatever it is, I just get totally stressed and then I can't think. And people may not realize that when the brain, people almost normalize brain fog, and that is brain inflammation. And I think when you were talking earlier, about the effects on the brain and how you talk to people about that, people are so scared of losing their thought processes, with Alzheimer's and dementia, that that is something that really motivates people. I have found if they realize that what you're actually experiencing is brain inflammation, then they're kind of more motivated to do something. So pain is a great motivator, and worrying about or thinking about losing your capacity to think is another great motivator. So Maria, you are like such a great mom. You're giving your kids such a great start in life. I can't believe that they're writing their own book and they have their podcast, and that they're making these decisions, and then their people are seeing what they're doing, they're inspiring other people, and got this ripple effect going on out in the world. Just awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, we have 3 generations trying to educate the world about health and wellness. I live with my in-laws, so I feed a family of 9 on a daily basis. Um, and it's doable, if we can you just see the effect. When I saw the effects, like yes, I have 5 children, but they're like real humans. They're not crazy little monsters, right? I can have conversations with them. We can like talk. There's no screaming, there's no temper tantrum. Same with my in-laws. Like everybody is on one even keel. So when I see that, I'm like, oh my God, I wish everybody had this. It's just so peaceful because when everybody's brains and bodies are working,
Yeah.
so we can accomplish so much. I mean, us women can already handle a lot, but then when we don't have to deal with that stress, it takes our what we are able to accomplish into another totally different level.
Exactly. And then we're having then the impact on the earth too, right? What's good for us
Absolutely.
is also good for the earth.
It's also good for them.
So, Maria, I know we're getting to the end of our time now, and I always ask my guests one last question, and that is what's the one thing someone could do today, like a simple baby step they could take today? I think I know what you're going to say. That's going to begin to create that environment in which will lower the inflammation so their body can heal. What would you say would be the one baby step?
Gratitude.
Yeah. So simple.
Changing your perspective because that can either be your pain or your power.
Ah, so good, so good. Where can people find you and like read your books? You've got these 7 books already out in the world. Where can people find out more about you? Where's the best place?
So, I'm on social media. I'm Holistic Mom MD. I'm also Holistic Urdu MD with my mother-in-law. The kids have the podcast called the Holistic Kids Show Podcast. So check it out on all podcast platforms. They've done up to 120 interviews. They interview New York Times bestsellers and um, journalists and even White House correspondents. So please check that out. Actors, actresses, it's really cool. And then yeah, just on my website and my social media, and then We do have a couple conferences coming up. We have a Change Making Kids conference in June. To really, I'm doing that with a couple of my colleagues. Again, trying to create some change. So
I love that. We will have all those links in the show notes, so they'll all be there for you. Follow Madia, the holistic wellness MD. Was that it? No, holistic
Holistic Mom
Mama
MD.
MD, holistic mama MD, and her kids, her amazing kids. Got this fabulous podcast. So follow them, and you'll just learn so much from them. So Madia, thank you so much for this wonderful work that you're doing and then passing it on to your kids and they're having this big impact. I'm just so grateful that you came on Wellness by Design today. So thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks to all the audience for watching and listening and share this and make sure you check out the links for Madia and her boys and see what they're doing. Have a great day. We'll see you again next week.